Hello and welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB, and today in the arena we are checking out a Nissa's Hadana's Climb deck with a few new cards in it. So we started off with doing an Explore package with Llanowar Elves and the Branch Walkers and the Wildgrowth Walker and the Jadelight Ranger. And if any of you haven't fallen asleep yet or turned this video off already because you're like, wow, how original that is, we decided to spice it up just a bit. We went big mana with Nissa Who Shakes the World, who also makes lands with +1/+1 counters on them. Hydroid Krasis to use that mana to cast very, very large Hydroid Krasises and draw a bunch of cards. And then since we have all these +1/+1 counters around, we lean into it a little bit harder. We use the Apex Hybrid to put 2 counters on a creature we control, and when it dies we proliferate and then proliferate again. We also have 2 Evolution Sage. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, proliferate to grow all of our creatures even larger. We also have 2 Evolving Wilds to work with the Evolution Sage to get kind of a double the turn we play it if we get those cards at the same time. And we have 4 copies of Hadana's Climb. Why on earth do we have 4 copies of Hadana's Climb? The end game for this deck is pretty bizarre. You end up having a lot of mana with a Nissa Who Shakes the World. You usually flip a Hadana's Climb, so you have one climb that is flipped and then a backup one in your hand. And you use a climb to target, like, let's just say it's a 5/4 Jadelight Ranger, to target a Jadelight Ranger with the Winged Temple. Okay, now it is a 10 whatever. Use Nissa to untap the Hadana's, to untap the temple. Do it again. It is a 20 whatever. Then you play another Hadana's Climb, go to combat, flip it, and it ends up with like 42 power. And believe it or not, that's normal because we end up in a lot of Wildgrowth Walker type mirrors and absurd life totals and things like that. And attacking somebody in the air for 42 takes a lot of steam out of their sails. So that's why we're running a million climbs, because often the end game is absolutely insane. Now there are other +1/+1 counter strategies that we're not using in the deck, which may surprise you, but one card that I'm not using at all is Growth Chamber Guardian. I honestly don't think this card is very good in the format right now. When you play your Growth Chamber Guardian and it gets bounced by a Teferi Time Raveler, then it's as if nothing good happened and the opponent just gets further and further ahead. Also, say that you do go ahead and, what is it called, adapt the Growth Chamber Guardian, and then it gets bounced, so you have 2 Growth Chamber Guardians in your hand. Again, you're down on the board. It seems like you're just falling behind to play a Growth Chamber Guardian, and against red they just kill it because it's a 2/2. I'm hoping that it was that or Wildgrowth Walker or the Incubation Druids. Incubation Druids go much bigger on mana quicker, and Wildgrowth Walker can beat red single-handedly, whereas Growth Chamber Guardian kind of rolls over to red to a single shock or lightning of any kind. So that's how I made my decision, and no regrets yet. The Nissa Who Shakes the World's payoffs being the Hydroid Krasis seems to work out just fine, and it doesn't seem to need much more. Nissa's 3/3s can beat someone to death anyway. And this is the life gain. These 2 combined can hopefully get you out of reach of those red decks if your Wildgrowth Walker fails you. Otherwise, it's a traction deck, and when the opponents are just trying to play a ton of Planeswalkers or a bunch of white creatures, we just want to build a giant board, make it huge with Evolution Sage, go way over the top with Hadana's Climb, and find the win. Alright, that's probably enough talking about the deck. Let's go play some games. Ooh, a few days of decay on the ladder have not been kind. 97%. We must rally. We go first, and we have a turn 2 Incubation Druid, and we have a source of blue, and we've got the Climb. Let's keep it, see where it goes. If our Druid dies, that will be a bit of a tragedy. But here's my Evolving Wilds. Let's use the not until your turn trick. No free information. You have no idea what I'm playing. Okay, now I'll show you. I bet that totally influenced the game. I know, I'm being snarky, but in super high level play, it totally makes sense to do that trick with Evolving Wilds. In kind of just having fun play, not so much, but I did it there mostly to showcase it. Sunpetal Grove and a Plains and a Huatli's Raptor with no proliferation. So our opponent running some kind of a proliferate deck that's a little awkward. Let's go straight into Hadana's Climb. and put a counter on the Incubation Druid, and then next turn we can Wild Growth and Branch Walker, or we can straight up Rawlisk, which is, I mean, that's a big beating. Knight of Autumn, though, brutal, but we still have the +1/+1 counter, and we have a backup climb. It'll be okay. But how about that turn 2, that perfect Knight of Autumn there? So we have 5 mana. We could, I think, play another Druid and a Hadana's Climb. Ooh, that's big mana for next turn. Let's go for it. It's not good against a Deputy of Detention if our opponent has that, though. But they look like they're on straight green-white, so I think we're a little bit safe. So here's second Druid. Here's Hadana's Climb. Here is the counter. And next turn we'll have 8 mana off 2 lands. Absurd. Shalai is here. But our Hadana's Climb endures. There's another land. So what's the play? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We could go to 10 in theory. 7, 8, 9. But 9 will play the Rawlisk and the Branch Walker and the Wild Growth Walker. Where do we want the counters is the good question. I think it makes plenty of sense to put the counters... Let's see, do it like this. I think it makes good sense to put the counters on the Branch Walker as it's the weakest creature on its own. So let's get this going. Ooh, Evolution Sage. But I don't have more green mana right now, so I don't... Well, let's keep it, because what we can do with it is we can Hydroid Crassus and then hit the land off that, most certainly. Here's Rawlix. Build them up. Now we can flip the land, or we can keep making things bigger. I like making things bigger. I like going bigger and bigger until we're ready to flip this and do a bajillion damage. Here's a Prison Realm. Picks on the hybrid. Alright, hybrid out of there. Llanowar Elves. So our opponent's in range of activating their Shalai to make all of their board bigger, but we are going to have an effect that is very similar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If we flip the climb, we can get to 10. Let's go ahead and do that first. Put a counter here. Go to attackers. We can send in this Branch Walker, because if the opponent tries to gang up on it, the Winged Temple can absolutely smash them. So instead, they're going to throw a Llanowar Elf under the bus, which is perfectly fine. And we'll play this for 8. That will most certainly put a land into our hand for the Evolution Sage. Double Evolution Sage. Let's hold this land until next turn to make sure that we can go Evolution Sage, land. The Friend to Wolves. Well, that can fight an Incubation Druid, which is a pretty big game. Those were producing a ton of mana for us, as we haven't found a big Nissa yet to really amplify our mana. Our opponent doesn't have good attacks, though. The Hydroid Crassus is too much of a threat. There is Nissa. 1, 2, 3. Play Nissa. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So we can do a lot of nonsense here if I'm counting correctly. And if not, you're all going to have to be nice to me. But we want to tap our non-forest lands. Play Nissa Who Shakes the Freaking World. I will always call it Nissa Who Shakes the World. Then we untap these for 6 mana total. We play both Evolution Sages, and we play the land to double Proliferate. And the opponent, the fear is in their heart. They're running to the hills. Oh no, our Llanowar Elf doesn't come down on turn 1 because of Evolving Wilds. It's our worst nightmare. Fortunately, we have 2 elves the following turn, and if we draw land off the top, that's a turn 3 Nissa Who Shakes the Frickin' World. Keep. Let's go for it. And Evolving Wilds is definitely getting a forest here, as forests are what Nissa needs to make big mana. We could run so hard into a Kaya's Wrath that blows up all of our land as well. We'll have to think about that when the time comes. Yeah, I'm not. We're demonstrating the trick again. Yeah, you don't know what I'm playing. You don't know. I'm sure that really changed your mind about that elf. I'm so jealous of your turn 1 elf, though. Can we draw land? Not yet. Not yet. Let's go, team. You got elves, I got elves. Blast Zone. Oh god. Blast Zone for 1 just kills everything right now. Paradise Druid, not a card I'm running. And we don't get the land. Oh no. But let's try to explore our way to it. Graveyard. Graveyard. Not cool, dude. Not cool at all. I was really hoping to hit another land and play the Branch Walker, hitting another land, so next turn I could Evolution Sage and pump both of those if I wanted. Looks like our opponent's also on some form of green Tron-ish thing. There goes an Assassin's Trophy. I really need the land. Why didn't you keep this? Rats. But, or maybe it's a Command the Dreadhorde type thing. I don't know. We'll see. Well, YOLO. Let's untap the 1 forest we've got and play a Branch Walker with it to use our mana. A Crassus on top. Alright. Let's see if we can untap with Nissa or not, or if our opponent has an Assassin's Trophy. Having a second Nissa makes me optimistic. What I'm really actually afraid of is that they'll kill the forest. Don't kill my forest, bro. Let's see. Put 3 +1/+1 counters on up to 1 target non-creature land. So we can't target the same thing twice to untap it multiple times. So that's going to be one thing, is we can't tap the forest for mana, then untap it and tap the forest for mana again. Neither of these are forests. So we will have a little less mana for the amazing Hydroid Crassus, but we're still looking at least a Crassus for 4. There's the trophy. They really thought about that. Perhaps they were thinking about blowing up the forest. Who knows? Who knows? Karn. Sup, dude? Are we gonna go get the... We're gonna go get the statue? Most people go get the statue. The Immortal Sun! Well, I'm pretty sure you run a lot of Planeswalkers too. Do we go for the Nissa who shakes the world? I don't have a way to get rid of the Immortal Sun, so it's a now or never situation for our World Shaker here. So I choose now rather than never.
Together we will prevail.
So let's untap you.
Behold, nature's true power.
We don't really want to attack with those yet, but let's play the Evolution Sage. And let's play the land and Proliferate. Bump everything. Send these at the Karn. And we have this massive board presence, so if the opponent spends their turn playing the Immortal Sun, at least we'll be able to attack them for 1,000,000. The opponent lets the Karn go, and that makes sense, because the opponent's about to play the Immortal Sun. And here it is. Now Nissa's our only Planeswalker, and one of them's already gone. So the idea here is now we just want to overpower this opponent before they get to do other cool things. That's not a land, but it can make a lot of... We can make a lot of mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Remember, the Nissa static still works. Let's go for 6. And leave this available so that we can play a 2-drop. I don't think that the extra sizing will matter. But getting to play more stuff this turn might. Another Evolution Sage. Ooh. And we could cast it this turn. I'm a little bit concerned about my opponent having something like a Finality. That could be a problem. No, this gets too big for a Finality. So do these because of our Evolution Sage. So let's go pay 2 life. Submit. Everything gets bigger. We can play this after combat. Bam, bam. Get in there. This board is absurdly big. Jadelight Ranger will take 1 for the team. Still kind of questioning what else they have up their sleeve. Might be an overcommit to play the Sage, but I do want to get to where I can get a lethal attack done as quickly as possible. The opponent drawing 2 cards a turn, you have to assume eventually they'll come up with a way to get back in the game. Razor. I mean, they're obviously also running a big mana strategy. I wonder if they run Nissa themselves. Ranger, sure. Ugin. Well, that's not going to do anything with the Immortal Sun out, so don't keep it on top. Oh my gosh, they did. Oopsie. Maybe? Maybe they're going to sacrifice their own Immortal Sun somehow. What is your endgame, you crazy mage? Playing this first, I don't have an Explore card, so we may as well just hit our land drop here. Proliferate double. And the opponent wants no more of that, as this is about to go to a 9. They can block a bunch of the creatures, but it's just chumps. And that game's going to end. Maybe they realized what their Ugin didn't do. Alright, we're on the play. We have Incubation Druid into probably a Branchwalker and a Nissa and an Evolution Sage to follow it up. I think that makes for a pretty good hand. Not many forests for the Nissa. 2 Hinterland Harbors isn't quite ideal, but hopefully we'll find some more forests along the road. Sacred Foundry. Alright, there's a forest. So we definitely lead with those to try to have as many out there as possible when Nissa comes down. And red-blue. Red-blue search for his Kanta, some form of control deck, perhaps? 4 mana, this is very ideal. Getting to drop Wild Growth Walker and Merfolk Branchwalker, put a bunch of pressure on the opponent before we even worry about the Nissa. And yeah, let's keep Hadana's Climb. It's a bunch more pressure. We could even flip it, not next turn. We can kind of play it for free, though, and power up the Incubation Druid, and then play Evolution Sage and Proliferate on all of our things. And that's if we don't want to risk the Nissa. The Lost. Yeah, I think what we want here is a giant board presence as quickly as possible. Try to get out of range of Deafening Clarion. I know exactly how to do that. Let's put a counter on the Incubation Druid. Let's send in these creatures. Then post-combat, we get to cast the Evolution Sage, hit the land drop, and Proliferate. And if the opponent somehow deals with the board, guess what? Nissa who shakes the world. Now, I've followed the Jeskai Planeswalker deck online pretty closely. Most of their removal is Deafening Clarion, or ways to deal 3 damage, or ways to bounce something, like with the Teferi, Baby Teferi. And there's the Clarion. So we see it does leave 2 things around. With a Hadana's Climb about to flip, our opponent teams up with a Shock. Alright. Well, that's okay, because now we shake him up. Oh, I should have tapped these 2. That was a mistake. But mistakes happen. Let's go to, let's see, if we flip that, yeah, if we had tapped correctly, we could have hit the opponent extra hard with the Winged Temple here. But let's go ahead and pump our land up. Oh, actually we still can. Let's see. So, because we can tap this for mana in combat, 1, 2, 3, 4, then we can't play the Branchwalker. But I guess that's okay. I think it's better to deal an extra 4 damage and try to end this game quickly. Pew! Down to 10. What's your next trick? As both of these with 4 toughness again, very stable against the Clarion. How many times can the opponent pull a Clarion Shock combination, you might wonder? Time Raveler. This can set back the land. But we make another one with Nissa, and we just lethal the opponent anyway. If they don't have like some perfect card to play here. And the land has been chosen. Card off the top. Is it a Lava Coil? I think that's what the opponent needs. Nope. Now, does this say it gains haste? It does, so we don't have the feels bad of targeting the wrong land. So first, tap that for green. Untap it, pump it up.
The land fights for us.
Tap this for blue. Wing temple it. 6, 7, 8. Now, could I have double templed? That would have just got me to 8 as well. Alright. Q, and might as well get you off the battlefield. Our opponent's Search for His Kanta isn't flipping right away, or...
This is hardly my worst defeat.
Alright. Let's go for a Branch Walker just to try to set up the top card of our deck. Another Branch Walker's okay. I think we could do better. Now, we are in a little bit of Clarion trouble, but the Druid lives, and Nissa can make another. Whether or not to hold back an Elf, I think it's fine. No need to overplay into the sweeper. If the opponent somehow does clean up this board, we're going to want something to play. Up to 5 in the graveyard. Can the opponent stay alive? Dibble-dib. That's a chump blocker, but the Winged Temple can fly over top of it. Lava Coil. Add mana for no reason, just make the opponent think something might be up. Something you can do if you want to. Tap land, passing turn. Alright, 1, 2, 3. Let's see, this makes 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. We could activate the Winged Temple and attack our opponent with it for the fun. So I think we'll just do that. Make this a flyer.
Rise, my elemental friend.
And send in the team. Just to show off what we can do. Good game. And that's how you apply a lot of pressure to the Jeskai deck. Make sure that you get your creatures over 4 toughness as soon as possible to live through Clarion, and take them down. Alright, back for a post-wrap after playing some games. I would make a few changes to the deck. Number 1, I would cut the Evolving Wilds. I don't think it was quite worth it, and the times that it messed with our ability to curve out probably don't make up for the times you can combine it with an Evolution Sage. I think that's just a little bit too cute, and we can add an extra island and an extra forest and have this nice smooth mana here. Otherwise, I really enjoyed the deck. I did not miss Growth Chamber Guardian. Rolisk was pretty strong and definitely a big threat when we drew it. Evolution Sage was very impressive and might be worth a 3rd copy, although I'm not sure what to trim. Maybe a Hadana's Climb, maybe one of the Rolisks could be another Evolution Sage. I don't think you want too many. You never want 2 Evolution Sages in your hand or on the battlefield and then not draw the land you need. So it is a bit of a situational card, but its ability to Anthem was very strong. If you want to play the deck in best of 3, the first thing I want to try is a transformational sideboard, where we start out as this epic beatdown Hadana's Climb deck, and when the opponent sideboards in like some creature removal and some mid-range haymakers like Planeswalkers to try to play a better mid-range game than us, while stopping our Nissas, maybe bringing in like Sorcerer's Spyglass, the Immortal Sun, Elder Spells, whatever they use to stop Nissa. I like sideboarding into a combo deck and suddenly having Chemister's Insight, Wilderness Reclamation, and Nexus of Fate, and just going off with Nexus of Fates and Hydroid Crassus. So that is what I would try for a best of 3 transformational sideboard. If that doesn't work, you can be traditional in your sideboarding. You can sideboard in Negate, you can sideboard in Mass Manipulation for those Planeswalker decks, although I like my matchup in those already, and probably some cards like the Abscaban, the Archer, which is probably good against mono blue, mono red, and Kroll Harpooners, which are probably good against mono blue, are other cards you could put in the sideboard if you're interested. Well, thank you for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you'll try out the blue-green Crassus Climb Nissa deck. It's very, very assertive, and I think that's what you need in a format full of red decks and Planeswalkers. Get on the battlefield, get tough, smash things, don't let the opponent get a bunch of Planeswalkers activating, and with less pure control decks and less Kaya's Wraths and things like that lurking in the format every day, I think this deck gets stronger. So go ahead and give it a shot. I'm sorry, because I was about to say I want to give a quick shout out to those companies that support the channel and how you can help support the channel through them. Flipsidegaming.com. You can use the promo code CGB to pre-order your Modern Horizons or your other gaming supplies right now and get 10% off your order while supporting the channel at the same time. That's promo code CGB. And at hauntedflower.com, you can choose from thousands of t-shirt designs, officially licensed, totally legal, including Magic the Gathering apparel and accessories. The promo code CGB will save you 10% off. That's at hauntedflower.com. Thank you for watching this video, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.